Buongiorno. Well, good morning. Starting things off the best way possible with a quiet, beautiful morning here, and then the chaos begins. So we're headed down to the bottom of the hill here because the larger trucks can't make it up with heavy packages. And we need to go pick up our roofing package. Whoa! Hey, too fast. You say pazzo? Man, look at those beams. That's beautiful. Tu sei troppo pazzo.
Hai fatto un buon viaggio, Bradey?
No.
Prendi una buca, muori.
Man, we've been planning for this for 6, 7, 8 months now, talking with the engineers, looking at drawings, but nothing could have prepared me for how beautiful these beams actually turned out. This is gonna be just stunning. All of this has been cut by our local sawmill. The same sawmill that we got all of the chestnut from that we've been using for the furniture. I believe all of the major beams are out of Douglas fir, but I'll have to confirm that. But then the vertical beams that will support everything are out of chestnut, the same chestnut that we've been using everywhere else on the property. Man, the acrobatics involved to get all of this material way up there using this little tractor. I don't think this thing was meant to do what we're about to do. Ok, ma stai attenta. Bravo.
Vieni.
No,
go,
no,
andiamo, Bradey.
no, piedi.
Jack Sparrow.
No, I'm not riding on that. Nope. I like living.
Guarda che c'è anche la corda per fuori.
Buon fortuna. Carlos crazy. I told Carlo that last shot of him hanging onto those beams with his butt sticking out will be the cover of our new sexy construction worker calendar coming soon. All right, so considering we're gonna have about 4 or 5 of these trips, I think next time I will join Carlo up on the tractor. So we unfortunately realized that the engineer made a mistake when he did his measurements. And as soon as we unloaded the wood and we measured them, we realized that the 4 main support beams were cut too short by a good 30 to 40 centimeters. He made a mistake because he measured the wall against the wall at the base of the wall, and he didn't realize that it angled up to the top of the wall, which is of course standard. So it's either send the whole roofing package back and have them recut everything to the proper dimensions, or we're gonna make the roof a little bit shorter, but that's a problem for our foundation. We think it's gonna be okay. We're gonna shimmy it out away from the wall a little bit and then move the foundation in a little bit, and it should work because we really want to get this up today and not have to wait for the whole package to be recut. So I've said this before, but I'll say it again. The big trucks can arrive down to this point here, but the last leg of the journey up through here, you can actually see the house from this perspective right there. It's just too steep, so we have to transfer everything over to the smaller tractor because this guy can go up literally anything. It's quite impressive. We're gonna take next the chestnut beams. These will hold up the entire roof package, or at least on one side of it. The stone wall will hold up the other side. But honestly, there's nothing more beautiful than Italian chestnut. This wood is just gorgeous, especially as it ages. It will start to develop some natural cracks in it. It'll match the beam that sits over top of the fireplace perfectly. So we've sourced all of the chestnut beams for the entire house from the same local lumber yard, and I've worked with him long enough and I've shown him pictures of what we've been doing, so he understands what I like. And I just noticed that he didn't cut these beams perfectly straight in terms of the edges of like perfectly sharp edges like he probably normally would have done. They've gone and they've kind of added in some curves to it, kind of to mimic the axe marks that I put on a lot of the other beams. I just love the fact that after working with this guy for so long, he knows what I like, and he went and he did it for me. Man, just hearing how the tractor was groaning underneath the weight as that set down, that's gonna be us groaning in just a couple of hours here. Oh man, they've decided to push it a little bit and they're gonna load on even more wood to this tractor. This poor little tractor now has 3 pallets worth of these beams. That's gonna be a long, slow ride to get up there. No paura. Okay, fine. My piano, okay? I'm gonna regret this. The unfortunate thing is that if our excavator was just a little bit taller, we'd be able to lift this entire roofing package into place. But unfortunately, it's looking like we're only gonna be able to use it for a few key pieces and mostly unloading the tractor. Most of the beams have to be hoisted up by hand. They do not under-engineer anything in Italy. If you look at the size of these beams, my goodness. Man, it's sketchy work, but that's the first supporting beam in and the first cross beam in. Man, 4 more to go, and then we'll start building upwards. So just look and appreciate how beautiful this is gonna be with this chestnut beam coming up. Once we get it all in, it's gonna be just lovely. But this is the result of the measurement being a little bit off, so we're gonna end up having to dig down and redo our foundation here. Man, spot on. Perfect. I'm not gonna lie, things are a little bit tense getting the initial beams in place, but once we get the first initial 4 support beams in place, things will be, a lot less stressful once everything is held together well. Man, even though it's pushing near mid-November, I'm very much reminded of why we're going to such great lengths to build this outdoor pergola here. That's because the sun just cooks you all year round. Yesterday we worked a little bit too much outside. I even put sunscreen on. I've got a little bit of a lobster face going on and just feel exhausted from the sun cooking me. And maybe it's just me and my fair, rather fragile skin because nobody else seems to be bothered by it. Actually, the Italians love the sun. They say leave as much sun as possible on your terrace. But for me, I like a little bit of shade. Perfect. Not perfect. One thing that I just really love about the Italian way of doing things is how everything is always a bit over-engineered. I didn't request these beams to be this thick. This was not anything special. This is just how they do things. But it's all both aesthetically for just the purpose of looking just as beautiful as it can possibly look, but it's also done for the mentality of wanting things to last forever, basically 200-300 years or more. So everything is just over-engineered to make sure that it lasts as long as possible. We visited a church in Florence one time where they had a chestnut beam that was dated to be approximately 800 years old. And the fact that it was still structural, still standing, still functional, still operational is a testament both to just how well thought out from an engineering perspective everything is, as well as how well they take care of everything here. Really quick, just want to take a brief minute to remind you about the importance of protecting your personal data while online and to tell you about today's video sponsor, Delete Me. Delete Me is a hands-free data removal service that removes your personal information from hundreds of data brokers and people's search sites, reducing the risk that your personal information ends up in the wrong hands, and conveniently helping to reduce those spam phone calls and phishing attempts. Unfortunately, data brokers can legally collect all kinds of information about you, things like your personal cell phone number, your personal home address, your email address, and other personal information, and they package all of this up and sell it off to whoever might want that, whether that's to advertisers or potentially to scammers. Scams and phishing attempts in particular are becoming more advanced and very difficult to discern what's real from fake. And if you ask me, the best possible way to protect yourself is simply by having your information removed so that they can't contact you to begin with. Within 7 days of joining Delete Me, you'll get a privacy report that shows where all of your information is left public, and then Delete Me will go to work having your information removed. Delete Me has been in business for over 15 years now. We've personally been trusting them for over 2 years with our information, and they were recently named by Wirecutter as the #1 data removal service. So if you're also ready to join Delete Me, you can get 20% off by going to joindeleteme.com/Voyagers or by scanning the QR code on screen now, or simply by entering the coupon code Voyagers at checkout. But with that, thank you so much to Delete Me for sponsoring today's video. All right, now all 4 support beams are in place and are supported and are level and measured out and all proper. And yes, we do need to do a lot of work to the footings to account for that measuring mistake, but we will get to that before we move on too far. But now that all 4 beams are set and in place, I can just breathe a little bit easier and the rest of the work should go a little bit smoother.
Si deve trovare con questa sotto, quindi aspettiamo.
So everything was cut as a perfect puzzle from the lumberyard. It's our job to try to assemble it, but some of the beams, especially the ones that come later, I bet weigh close to 500 pounds. Let's just pause for a brief moment and appreciate these angles and this artwork that is the new roof here. And we'll be able to appreciate it from this perspective as well on the balcony here, looking off in that direction. And then to top off the roof, we've got something exceptionally special that I'm looking forward to doing.
Aspetta.
Vederlo io questo.
Alza, bassa Marco, bassa Marco.
It's been a big day. And usually I feel like I can pull my own weight and be of help and some benefit, but not today. I don't know if the sun's gotten to me, I'm just not understanding things, but it's a lot of lifting and following instructions and moving things in the same direction as a team. And well, I'm not able to really understand the directions very well today for some reason. There's a language barrier that I'm not able to overcome today. Usually it's not an issue. Feel a little bit worthless today. Man, it is stunning how well this all fits together. Just fits together like a glove. Little tricky negotiating it into place, but once it's there, it just all is held by gravity. We just add in a little bit of screws just for safety. Okay, one more to go. We have worked so hard on this outdoor space for going on a year now, starting with that stone wall, digging back into the mountain, excavating, giving us a little bit more space in front of the house here, building up that fireplace, and then this roof now is the cherry on top of this entire outdoor project. And honestly, I'm just a little bit at a loss for words because it's turning out not just as a pergola, it's turning out as a complete work of art.
Su adesso.
Vado su io. Aspetta, rimettiti indietro Alessio. Vai.
Poggialo su. Adesso quello che avanza fuori là. 89. Anche perché non sta bene spostando.
We survived the first one. We've got two more to get through, but being at this height is reminding me of working on this beautiful chimney here and all of the work that went into building this stone wall and stone chimney.
Oh, dove lo vuoi, Fra? Qua, su. Ancora un po' voi. Così va dentro.
Okay, so we have one more beam to go, but this is the heaviest beam. It's weird how the heaviest beam is pretty much saved for the very end of the day when we have no strength left to give.
No, si muove tutto, Carlo.
Chi se la frega?
Come ha fatto?
C'è un po'. Ok, fermati. Adesso mi pirla là.
A te, Carlo.
Lasciala, basta che paghi. Vamos!
Vai che si aggancia. Buona. Posto, non respira.
So before we wrap up and call it a day, we're gonna make sure to fix this foundation since the measurements were off. So you slide it over, and remember there's plenty of concrete beneath. We just need to raise that concrete up to the right level. We're making sure to drill in and tie in rebar to the existing footing beneath it to make sure it's all solid and done properly.
È di cuore il Bradey.
Grande Bradey. Bradey, aspetta un attimo, dato che sei lì,
There's been a few accommodations we've had to make because the measurements were off, and this is one of them. All of these support beams have to be cut.
Ma se ci trametti?
Mettete su quelli lì che riuscite a metterli su tutti senza guardare.
Quali?
Quelli più da tagliare.
Well, good morning. My brain cannot comprehend the fact that we built this gorgeous structure behind me in a single day. My body's starting to comprehend it as I can barely move today. This morning there's a lot to discuss, a lot of things to figure out, a few problems to solve. One of which is that these main support beams right here that stick into the beam pockets that we painstakingly jackhammered into this stone wall, which was definitely a little bit painful considering all of the work that we put into building the stone wall to take a jackhammer to it. But now that these beams are in there, we need to make sure that we are protecting them from moisture, because when it rains here, water soaks into the mountain, soaks into the ranada, the slate that the mountain is built out of, soaks into it and stays wet, sopping wet for weeks. So anything that's wood that kind of goes back in there needs to properly be protected. So we're going to be leaving a weeping hole to make sure that the water gets out away from the beam pockets. But most importantly, we're going to be covering everything, all of the wood that goes into the mountain, with a special water protection. I'm not even sure what exactly it is. Some version of tar likely, in order to protect these beams forever. And then we'll need to come back and fill all of these voids between the individual beams with stones and cement, so they're just fully set back into this stone wall. And that will be a painstaking process, not only of carrying all of the stones and the concrete up here, but shaping them and placing them in.
Tecnologia italiana. Vieni! Aspetta Bradey, partiamo con la prima.
All right, so we're now moving on to covering this entire structure in wooden planks. And it's those wooden planks that will hold up all of the slate shingles.
Questo non riesce. Non è troppo alta la barriera anticaduta lì.
And just like with everything else, they're moving at a pace that's really hard to keep up with, both from a me helping perspective as well as a filming perspective. We are just flying through this roof. And I bet we'll have all of the wooden planks up in about the next 45 minutes.
Dammi quelle basse. Ok, ole. I love you, Bradey. Però è visto che se ne metti tanti dopo ci guadagni.
So one of the main reasons why I was so excited to build this pergola and this roof in this style is simply to learn. I've really wanted to learn how to build this European, this Italian style of roof, because I would love to bring that back to the forest property as we plan our home there. And just in totality, bring that mindset of building something that's meant to last for hundreds of years and not having to replace a roof every 15 or 20 years as is currently done in most of the USA. I would love to build something out of beams like this that will last for hundreds of years, as well as a slate roof. It just involves a lot of education, a lot of learning, and a lot of labor. Today is mostly just a two-person job, so that gives me the luxury of standing back and really trying to study things, really trying to soak it all in and learn how they're doing this. Because it's one thing to have this beautiful, gorgeous pergola, but it's another thing to have the education, and to me, that is priceless. Man, look at that. Spot on. I love that this level can give us grade.
Oh my goodness. That's stunning. Wow.
Come check it out.
Amazing.
It's big, isn't it?
It's big.
It's bigger than I imagined it would be.
It's big, but it's so beautiful. Actually, it's way more beautiful than I even pictured it being. I mean, I knew it would be pretty, but wow.
It's gonna make a huge difference in the summer.
The shade is gonna be incredible. Obviously, in the winter, the sun's a bit lower, but man, in the summer, this is gonna be just amazing.
That's chestnut, just the same wood that we put in all of the rest of the house, the beams above the doors and the windows. It's a very special wood.
Stunning. I love it.
Can you imagine a large dining room table, kind of right where you guys are right there, then kind of a seating area right in the center right here.
And I like how the kitchen, the outdoor kitchen fits in with it. I was kind of worried about how that would sit, and it's perfect. It feels right. I'm so excited. This is great.
Sai la bindella e matita. Yeah!
All right, well, that's going to do it for today. We just had a couple of hours to work today, and that was it. But man, the amount that we accomplished, especially yesterday, building this structure in one day, I'm just still astonished and at a loss for words. And the amount of a difference that this will make, particularly in the summer sun. And I've mentioned this before, but everything we're doing is done so from the perspective of hosting. So I would love to be able to host a large group of people here under this pergola, have a nice large table to be able to cook outside, enjoy the view. And this pergola is going to make all the difference, especially in the summer. But with that, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in our next video.